And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And boy, you know what? I say it every day, but we have another fantastic show for you today. You know what? We do the same things every day, except that the news changes and the subjects change and the guests change. Other than that, the format's pretty much the same. And on today's show, we're going to discuss, well, what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and we're going to be continuing our new segment, that tribute to the late great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. On today's special segment, well, we're going to be with Sean LaFave, and Sean and I are going to be talking about health care on his segment, the Geared for Wellness Corner. And I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 93 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's saying it's down from 94. I don't know how that happened, but we'll keep you tuned up every once in a while. We'll also let you know what the weather is around the globe where our listening audience is located. But right now, let's talk about news. Now, normally I would encapsulate the 10 top things that are here, but our abbreviated version didn't seem to make it through to the studio today, so we're going to give you a kind of a better in-depth news. And the first off the top is Trump paints a new target on illegal immigration. Donald Trump's aggressive rhetoric on illegal immigration, tongue-tied, I don't know what's going on, obscured a potentially historic policy shift. The Republican presidential nominee is the first major policy or party candidate in modern memory to propose limiting legal immigration. In his speech on immigration last night, Trump capped a list of steps to combat legal immigration with a final pledge to completely revamp the country's legal immigration system in order to lessen the number of people allowed into the United States. We will reform legal immigration to serve the best interests of America and its workers, the forgotten people, Trump said. Workers. We're going to take care of our workers. Trump talked about limiting immigration to its historic norms. The share of the foreign-born people in the United States, 13% of the population, is at its highest level since 1920. By making the case in a nationally televised address that immigration overhaul has to be limited, Trump has embraced the ideals of a small group of activists who, for decades, have sought to sharply reduce all forms of migration to the United States. Well, it's a big change, said one of those activists, Roy Beck, president of Numbers USA, who argued that Trump can espouse ideas that previously politicians depended on campaign contributions from business cannot. The politicians who are major speakers on this have always focused on rule of law. Well, you know, since the 1990s, politicians who have taken a tough stance on immigration have usually come out against amnesty for anyone living in the country illegally and spoke favorably of legal immigration. Now, many business groups that traditionally support the GOP seek higher levels of legal immigration. Advocates say the push underscores how necessary migration is for the economy, while critics contend it pushes wages down. Well, you know, we'll see what time will tell. It just seems like it's a real quagmire of a real problem. But I can tell you this, they're crushed. Some Hispanic leaders feel absolutely misled by Trump. And they're disappointed. Some Hispanic leaders who, wait a minute. You know, we just got a new AP alert. The United States is to provide before Election Day all Clinton schedules of her meetings as Secretary of State. Wow. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, let's talk about the crushed and disappointed. Some Hispanic leaders who have been advising Donald Trump say they feel betrayed after his long-awaited immigration speech that definitely ruled out a pathway to legal status for people living in the country illegally. Trump stopped short of calling for the mass deportation of millions of people who have not committed crimes beyond their immigration offenses. But he also ruled out what he dismissed as amnesty amnesty, saying those who want to live legally in the United States will need to leave and head to the back of the line in their home countries. People will know that you can't just smuggle in, hunker down, and wait to be legalized. Trump declared in his hardline speech Wednesday night, those days are over. Yep. Well, the language caught off guard a group of Hispanic faith and business leaders who have been advising him, often in the face of criticism from their own communities. In closed-door meetings, the phone calls, Trump had given many the impression that he was prepared to soften his stance on immigration as he tries to court more moderate general election voters and boost his standing with Hispanics and other minorities. Well, you know what? The fact is, nobody is going to be able to win the election without the Latino vote. And Trump, he was starting to close that gap between him and Clinton. And then he went to Mexico. He actually looked like a politician. He seemed to have done that well. And then 2 hours later, when he landed in Arizona, he blasted him, bombasted him, just skewered them. And you know what? I think he's probably lost that Latino vote forever. If that's the case, he might as well kiss the White House goodbye. Well, Florida braces for life-threatening Hurricane Hermine. I don't know. Hermione, I think. Yeah. Anyway, because it's a girl, Hermione. Tropical storm Hermione strengthened into a hurricane today and steamed toward Florida's Gulf Coast, where people put up shutters, nailed plywood across store windows, and braced for the first direct hit on the state from a hurricane in over a decade. The National Hurricane Center said the storm's winds reached about 75 miles an hour in the afternoon, just above the 74-mile-per-hour hurricane threshold. Hermione was expected to blow ashore late today or early Friday along the state's Big Bend, the most rural and lightly populated corner where the Florida Peninsula meets the Panhandle. Then drop back down to a tropical storm and push into Georgia, the Carolinas, and up the East Coast, with the potential for drenching rain and deadly flooding. Well, we'll see what happens to that, but I can tell you that Florida Governor Rick Scott warned of the danger of strong storm surges, high winds, downed trees, and power outages, and urged people to move to inland shelters if necessary and make sure that they have enough food, water, and medicine. This is a life-threatening situation, Scott said. It's going to be a lot of risk. Right now, I want everybody to be safe. Well, from his lips to God's ears, we do simply want everybody to be safe. That's just the way that it has to be, Let's do this. I want to take a short break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you about a new Associated Press break. Hinckley starts a full-time life in Virginia on September the 10th, just 9 days from now. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages, just in case you don't remember the relationship between him and Ronald Reagan.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:12 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 93 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, the nice thing is that's down from 94 degrees on its way to 64, which is going to be the really nice thing. But right now, we're talking news. Let's get right back to it. We've got an Associated Press news break. Hinckley starts a full-time life in Virginia beginning on September the 10th. Well, you know, the man who attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan 35 years ago will leave a Washington psychiatric hospital to live full-time in Virginia on September the 10th, his lawyer said today. A federal judge ruled in July that 61-year-old John Hinckley Jr. is not a danger to himself or to others and can leave St. Elizabeth's Hospital to live full-time at his mother's home in Williamsburg, Virginia. At the time, Judge Paul Friedman ruled Hinckley could leave the hospital as soon as August the 5th. Hinckley was found not guilty by reason of insanity in the 1981 shooting of Reagan, who died in 2004. His press secretary, James Brady, who died in 2014, and two law enforcement officers outside a Washington hotel. In his July 27th ruling, Friedman wrote that Hinckley was a profoundly troubled 25-year-old young man when he shot Reagan in an effort to impress actress Jodie Foster, but he has not exhibited symptoms of major depression or psychotic disorder for more than 2 decades. Friedman has gradually given Hinckley more freedom over the past decade, allowing him to spend longer and longer stretches at his mother's home. For the past 2+ years, he's spent the majority of his time there, 17 days each month. Hinckley's longtime lawyer, Barry Levine, today called Hinckley's departure from the hospital a milestone that was the result of a commitment by Hinckley and his family to responsibly deal with the disease. People of goodwill should celebrate his achievement and success, Levine said. Levine said of his client, "I think he will be a citizen about whom we can all be proud." Well, I don't know about that, but let's hope that he does well. I do hope that that's the case. I just hope that that's the case. Nothing more that I can say about that. But here's some news for you. An explosion at the SpaceX launch pad destroys a rocket and a satellite. A massive fireball, an explosion erupted today at SpaceX's main launch pad, destroying a rocket as well as a satellite that Facebook was counting on to spread internet service in Africa. There were no injuries. The pad had been cleared of workers before what was supposed to be a routine pre-launch rocket engine test. SpaceX chief Elon Musk said the accident occurred while the rocket was being fueled and originated around the upper stage oxygen tank. Cause is still unknown, Musk said via Twitter. More soon. The explosion, heard and felt for miles around, dealt a severe blow to SpaceX, still scrambling to catch up with satellite deliveries following a launch accident last year. It's also a setback for NASA, which has been relying on the private space company to keep the International Space Station stocked with supplies and, ultimately, astronauts. SpaceX was preparing for the test firing of its unmanned Falcon rocket when the blast happened shortly after 9 a.m. at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. The test was in advance of Saturday's planned launch of an Israeli-made communication satellite to provide home internet for parts of the sub-Saharan African and the Middle East. A video of the explosion shows a fireball enveloping the top of the rocket. Moments later, the nose cone containing the satellite plunged to the ground, followed by more explosions. Wow, you know what? Buildings 4 miles away shook from the blast, and a series of explosions continued for several minutes. Dark smoke filled the overcast sky, and a half hour later, a black cloud hung low across the eastern horizon. Wow. Can you imagine just the power of that and the disappointment, I'm guessing? Well, a woman leaves prison after feticide. Conviction is overturned. An Indiana woman whose feticide conviction for self-induced abortion was overturned in July walked out of prison today, a day after a judge resentenced her to less time than she had already served and ordered her immediate release. Purvi Patel, 35 years old, was with relatives when she left the Indiana Women's Prison in Indianapolis about 10 a.m., said Indiana Department of Correction spokesman Doug Garrison. Her attorney, Lawrence Marshall, said Patel is very, very joyful that this day has come, but that she now needs privacy so that she can focus on rebuilding her life. For right now, she needs to recover from what is obviously a traumatic several years, said Marshall, a Stanford University law professor. She has to take her life and try to make something meaningful out of all the wreckage that got her there to start with. Patel was convicted in 2015 of killing her premature infant by taking abortion-inducing drugs and sentenced to 20 years in prison. She appealed her feticide and child neglect convictions, and the Indiana Court of Appeals vacated both convictions in July, finding that the state's feticide law wasn't meant to be used to prosecute women for their own abortions. But the appeals court found that Patel should be resentenced on a lower-level child neglect charge that carries a maximum 3-year sentence. Wow. Can you imagine? Well, that does it for the news. I don't think there's anything else I want to deal with. There's no good news. That's for doggone sure. So you know what? Let's just take a short break. Let's come back and I'll give you some good news. We'll talk about the IRS loses. In the first case up, well, a business deduction for family medical expenses. I'm going to tell you all about that. This is going to be really interesting. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. Aho Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry and a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show. Well, it's actually not my favorite part of the show. It's one of my favorite parts of the show, and that is the IRS loses. And you know what? Just sends chills up and down my spine. So let me just get right to it. In the first case, business deduction for family medical expenses. Can you imagine that? Listen to this. Ralph Fram was self-employed as the owner of a business with one employee, and that was his wife. He had it adopt an employee benefit plan providing medical insurance covering its employees and their families, including him as the spouse of an employee. Well, the IRS had an objection to that. They said the business could deduct only the part of the premiums covering his wife's medical expenses and not his. Well, he went to court. This is what the judge said. Such medical coverage is a common business expense and is deductible by self-employeds the same way that it is by other businesses. So here's the point. Greater tax benefits, such as reduced self-employment tax, may result from a business expense deduction for medical insurance than from the normal deduction for it. So, keep that in mind. How about this? The IRS loses. Penalties are lifted on the misvaluation of stock. You know what? When Hotels.com paid stock compensation to key employees, it put a high value on their shares for a large deduction. Now, while the employees reported a lower value, reducing their taxable income. A court upheld the lower value, and the IRS imposed penalties on Hotels.com for overvaluing the stock and underpaying the tax as a result. Well, they went to court. That's what the judge said. The fact that there was a dispute with the employees over the valuation did not mean that the company's valuation was unreasonable. It had followed the advice of outside experts when it filed its return, and failure to file an amended return cannot support a negligence penalty. So the penalties are lifted. Now, by the way, that would be 50%. That penalty would be 50% of the tax owed. So just so you know, here's a case the IRS lost. Tax collections after bankruptcy are void. Well, you need to know this. A company went broke owing trust fund employment taxes and declared bankruptcy. Now, its owner declared personal bankruptcy. The IRS then sent her a Form 2751 proposed assessment of trust fund recovery penalty, which she signed, acknowledging that she had owed the tax. Now, using this, the IRS started collection and levy actions against her. She protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. A declaration of bankruptcy automatically stays all IRS collection actions, and the fact that the IRS sent the form violated the stay. Moreover, the violation means that the form is void, and the IRS can never act on it rather than merely voidable or suspended during the bankruptcy. Now, that has got to tickle your fancy. It does mine anyway. Now, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. It's just a little bit like The Twilight Zone. Well, these are not exactly tax court cases. As a matter of fact, they're not tax court cases at all. But they are little precedences and things that the IRS is doing that you should know about, because if you know what they're doing, you know how to act responsibly with regard to that, right? So here's the thing. A tax home tax trap. To deduct away from home business expenses, you must have a tax home to be away from. But the IRS says that your tax home is where you work. So if you work on the road, this could pose a problem. So here's a case for you. Electrician Eric Walker traveled the East Coast to temporary jobs obtained through his union. He was married and his wife lived in Florida, which he said was his home state. But he spent little time there. Well, the IRS and the tax court, this is what happened. Walker's away from home deductions for travel, meals, and lodging were disallowed because he had no tax place to abode or business locality, making each place that he worked his principal place of business and a tax home. Wow. Can you imagine? Bad news. What it means, though, is you just simply have to be careful. Always, always, always. How about this? Negotiating an installment agreement. It's not uncommon for certain taxpayers earning six-figure salaries to owe the Internal Revenue Service more money than it will ever be able to repay. Now, there's some common causes for this. Personal liability for unpaid payroll taxes of a business, years of not filing income taxes, not paying the tax reflected on tax returns that were filed. And when taxpayers enter negotiations to pay their tax debt in installments, the IRS will generally allow them living expenses in excess of official guidelines, which are very modest, by the way, and they'll only do that for a period of 1 year. Now, taxpayers should use this year to cut back on all but the most essential expenses. They should cut out lavish expenditures for such things as vacations, clothing, and country club dues, and concentrate on making sure that college tuition and mortgage payments are made, even prepaid if possible. The reason for this, after that 1 year period expires, the IRS is going to expect that most of what a taxpayer earns after the current year's income taxes have been paid goes back to the IRS till this whole thing's taken care of. So, there's certainly other options that you can consider and that you can do. But you know what? You certainly want to be careful with the way you handle these things. And in my opinion and my advice to you always has been, use the advice of a qualified licensed professional. They're always going to save you more money than they cost you. Always, always, always. Now, I also want to remind you that we have our apps out there. We've got apps, whether you've got a Windows product or Android product or a Apple product. We got them all. And all you got to do is, if you've got an Android or Windows product, go to your app store. That would be googleplay.com. And if you've got an Apple product, just go to the Apple store and search Robert Cardoza Live. And popping up is going to be our app. It's absolutely free, costs you nothing. Download that app, and it'll allow you to listen to our show live if we're broadcasting live like we are now, or it'll also allow you to listen to any of our archive shows at any time. And there's a little button there next to it that'll tell you what that particular show is all about. So you know what? Even if we're going live, you'll be able to chat with us through that app. So we encourage you to get that app. We encourage you to tell all your friends about it too, and tell them about the show. You know what? They'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. I most certainly will appreciate it. And our next guest up, our own Sean LaFave, I can guarantee you he's going to appreciate it, because he's just that kind of guy. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages with Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? I want you to know that at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 94 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Torrance, California, it is 77 degrees and it is clear. And if you're just so god-awful lucky to be in Wichita, Kansas, it's 82 degrees, partly cloudy. There is a wet sponge hanging over your head to make it feel humid as heck. You don't know what's going on, but that's what's happening right in the neck of the woods, right in that corner office where our own Sean LaFave is. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Awesome. Everybody should be so lucky. Wonderful. Actually, it's 81, 82, whatever it is, and but it's just that it's just muggy. I hate to sound like a little whiner, but man. It doesn't feel like, when I'm in California next to the coast and it's 81 degrees, it feels awesome. But man, this humidity is dragging me down. But that's all right. I'm in the air conditioner now, so life's good.
Well, it's 94 here, and I've got to tell you, it's just really gorgeous. It's pleasant. It's not humid. It's dry, as you know, and and there's a little breeze going, and it's just it just feels like heaven on earth.
One of the things, there's a lot of things that I miss, but one of the things that I miss about being back home in California is it's almost impossible in the evening to sit outside and just, relax, whether you're having a drink or just have a conversation, whatever. Because the bugs out here are just terrible. You're going to get mosquito bites, there's tears, whatever it is. There's going to be something that's going to get a hold of you. And you're just, after about 10 minutes, all of a sudden the scratching starts and the bumps are there. And you're like, why did I even think it was a good idea to go outside? So,
do you ever get accustomed to it, or do the bugs ever stop bothering you? I mean, there've got to be people out there that the bugs just don't even bother. You don't get around them. I've also heard, because you're into holistic stuff, I've heard that there are some herbs and some things that you can take that you don't smell it, but the bugs smell it, and it repels them, and they don't get anywhere near you. Have you ever looked at any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different things. Garlic is supposed to be one of them.
Garlic is good for you, but it's not good for a relationship.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Well, unless you're both eating it, then it cancels out. That's positive is equal to positive. I don't know, but yeah, I've tried things like that, and I don't know. I'm just one of these. I must just look like a big old Slurpee to these things because, and I've got friends that say, man, the bugs on them can never bother me. Like I rarely get bitten. I'm thinking, maybe you just taste awful. I don't know.
Well, that's what you get for living a good life. Your blood is so pure that's all they want.
Yeah, what works, and it's really funny. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there's chemicals and stuff in it, but do you remember Avon Skin So Soft lotion?
No. I never had an Avon lady.
So Avon has this lotion. I'm pretty sure it's called Skin So Soft. And actually, one of their commercials was, there might be bugs on some of you mugs, but there ain't no bugs on me. And that was one of their, there might be ticks on some of you chicks, but there ain't no ticks on me. And there's something about Avon skin, and it's kind of nice. It doesn't smell nasty like the bugs, insect repellent or the mosquito repellent that, you spray out of a can or whatever.
Why aren't you bathing in that stuff?
It's just, again, it's more, I don't like putting on lotion in general.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's the thing. You just get totally naked, lay down, and let Sally rub that stuff on you.
That works. We'll never get outside. I'm sure she's listening.
Well, you know what? Hey, Sally, I want you to know that comment was Sean's idea.
It was. I texted it to you before we got on the air. So hey, say this.
It was hopeful. It was hopeful, wishful thinking on his part.
So where are we? What's today? Thursday, right?
Today is Thursday. Yeah, today is Thursday. Do we have anything we're going to talk about, or are we going to look things up?
Well, you know what? We can look things up, but I know we were going to talk about. I'm doing that push-up challenge for the.
Oh yeah, talk about that.
So we can talk about that, but you know what I want to talk about first. We'll just get this out of the way because I'm curious if it will. We haven't talked politics in a while, so maybe a little bit of politics for the first segment.
Sure.
But did you watch Trump's speech in Phoenix about his immigration policy?
Of course I did. Right after I saw him talking to the president of Mexico.
President of Mexico, right? So, which was perfect timing. Yeah. So I thought it was an excellent speech, well delivered, well written. I thought the policies that he handed down, they make sense to me. So, it's funny. Someone, it was about a week or so ago, he made some comment about negotiating on some terms, and everyone's like, "Oh, see, we told you that he's going to flip flop," and that's just exactly. And of course, who came out and just in spades was the Ted Cruz supporters. They're like, "See, we told you." I'm like, "Shut up, you guys! He lost. Go away." Like no one wants to hear from the Ted Cruz supporters anymore. Like,
no, they don't. And Trump didn't flip flop. Matter of fact, his own campaign staff is pulling their hair out because they wanted him to take a softer stance, and I think he went to the wall with it yesterday.
Yeah. Oh man. His stance was exactly the same as it's always been. If you're here illegally, we're going to deport you. It's the law. Period. That's the way it works.
Well, I've got some good news for you because I'm sure you didn't hear the beginning of the show when we had a news alert that came out, and it was about your best girlfriend Hillary, and she has been ordered by the courts to release all of her emails before the election.
Oh, my.
Isn't that something?
That's awesome. I mean, I thought that she was supposed to have released all of her emails anyway.
Well, yeah, but they found another 15,000, right, or something like that.
Yeah, they found another 15,000, and they found 30 of them that were deleted that were specific to Benghazi. They just found just recently,
and all of them have to be made public and delivered prior to the election.
Isn't that great? I think it's awesome. I mean, she lies and lies and lies, and then comes out and says, I'm completely transparent. I always try to tell the truth. It's like, you are anything but transparent. She's about as transparent as a brick wall.
Well, she is. She is transparent. You can always tell when she's lying. Even when she's lying, her lips move.
Yeah, because her lips are moving. Exactly. So, but yeah, they also found that she had sent some emails that were classified emails after she was done in her as Secretary of State, in her office of Secretary of State. So even when that tenure was done, she still sent some classified information over her email server.
Yeah.
The interesting. Another one. Oh, go ahead.
The interesting thing is because you started off talking about Trump, and I just wanted to make your day. I didn't think you had heard the thing about Hillary. Anyway,
I think it's awesome.
And the national split between Hillary and Trump is starting to narrow now because she had a pretty good lead on him, and he cut that about in half. Now he went and he saw the President Nieto in Mexico. And he looked really good. He looked like a politician. Looked pretty good. And then when he got to Arizona, he just blasted him. Now, here's my concern. My concern is this, because you wanted to talk about politics. There has never been any candidate that ever won the White House without the Latino vote. And I just think he lost the entire Latino vote. I think he just said goodbye to the whole thing, and I don't know how he could ever. Yeah,
man. I can't tell you how many Latinos I've spoken with who are here legally, and their families are here legally, and they have said, you know what, we totally support him, and we're going to vote for him because we think it's wrong that we went through the process, my family went through the process to get here legally, and now all these other people are going through illegally.
So obviously these pollsters are not talking to any of those Mexicans.
Yeah, obviously.
I shouldn't say Mexicans, any of those Latin Americans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, it is Latin Americans, but really, right now, it has to deal with specifically Mexico, the country of Mexico.
Yeah.
Of course, people, and that's the thing that sucks is like, when Donald Trump or anybody else says something about Mexicans, people automatically go, "Oh, you're a racist." Well, no, it's not that we didn't say brown people. We said Mexicans because they're from Mexico. Yeah. And people just put this, they automatically, like, they're so wound up that they automatically put a racial negative slur to the word Mexican because, Mexicans, people have been making fun of Mexicans for a long time. I mean, it's just like, so when people hear it, they go, "Oh, you're a racist." No, you're not a racist. You're talking about people from a specific country. I missed the Cold War.
I've got to tell you, I mean, I don't believe I have a prejudice bone in my body. Certainly not a racist one anyway. And here's the thing. My wife is, my children are of 100% Portuguese descent. My parents were both Portuguese. Their parents were Portuguese. Their parents before them. So we're 100% of Portuguese descent. But I refer to myself not as a Portuguese American. I refer to myself as an American who just happens to be Portuguese.
Exactly. Yeah. My name would be like 20 nations long if I tried to do that. But I'm just a Heinz 57 American.
Yeah, well, you know what? Isn't that what most of them are and should be? I mean, isn't this a country of immigrants? Isn't it what made our country? If you think about it, we immigrated here illegally from Great Britain originally because they thought they could incarcerate us here, and in addition to Australia, and it would be a penal colony, and then we actually made something out of it in the 13 colonies and started doing things and thinking for ourselves. But we were actually illegal immigrants because we landed on somebody else's land. We used to call them American Indians, but it was their land. And now we talk about being the rightful owners of this land, the rightful people who are not immigrants here anymore. But the truth is, we're not the rightful owners of this land. We took it away from somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's a big argument, especially every Columbus Day. Everybody loses their mind about, Columbus was a murderer. And it has happened. And I'm not saying that it's right or anything like that, but that type of thing has happened on every single square inch of this planet.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Romans did it, Genghis Khan did it, Shaka Zulu did it, Stalin, I mean, they all did it. It's not like, it's like, oh, we're the only country that's ever done that.
You know what? I'm not faulting our country for it, but I don't understand why we just can't tell the truth.
Oh, no, you're right. We should tell the truth, and absolutely, it should be this is the way it happened. Some horrific things. Was it, a lot of, but the unfortunate is people make it out to the ones who want to just really, rewrite history and talk about, the poor Native American Indians or whatever you want, Comanches, whatever you want to call, because they're not really Indians, I'm sure that it wasn't, these settlers coming from overseas and going, okay, let's just kill everything in sight once we get there, no matter what. I'm pretty sure that maybe there was some hostility, on both sides, and honestly, the stronger force won. And that's just kind of human nature. And it sucks because, it came down to the point where the U.S. government did go in and slaughter, these entire camps of people. And, and that's a horrible thing to think that we did that. But to say that, that Columbus came in here with the intent to go and just murder and kill and rape and pillage, that, maybe he was that kind of guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's possible, but I find that pretty hard to believe.
Hey, listen, I was seeing this. Yeah, I was seeing this thing on the news. It's actually a segment that they call oddities on the news, and it says bears swim and rummage through garbage while roaming an LA suburb. And this came in about an hour ago out of Pasadena. Excuse me. It says 3 black bears treated a suburban California neighborhood like a resort, taking a dip in a backyard pool and helping themselves to a dumpster buffet. The trio, 2 cubs and their mother, wandered out of the San Gabriel Mountains and into the foothill city of Pasadena just this afternoon. They ventured through several backyards and jumped into at least 2 pools before being chased out of the area by a brave dog. Can you imagine?
A dog. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, right?
Yeah, that's much better. That's much happier news than what I was talking about. I don't even know why I'm talking anymore. We keep telling stories like that. Actually, I read a story earlier that there was a family out on their boat in, I think it was Lake Michigan, and they had some maintenance problems with the boat, and they were fixing the boat and doing whatever, and didn't realize it, but their dog, who is, I can't remember what kind of dog, but it looks kind of like a German Shepherd kind of dog. It wasn't a German Shepherd. It was something kind of similar in appearance, a big dog. The dog fell off the boat, and for whatever reason, these people didn't realize their boat, or that their dog was gone off the boat, and they took off to go back to land. The dog swam 6 miles back to shore, and then ran 12 miles back to try to find the camp, and they finally found the dog.
Good Lord! Later. Good Lord!
Imagine that?
Yeah, I cannot.
What a smart dog. First of all, 6 hours. I don't even know 6 miles away. Can we even see the shore?
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, maybe, I don't know. I mean, they're kind of low to the ground. In this case, the water.
Your head's right there at water level.
I wouldn't
standing up and peeking.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Gosh, I mean, I go for a 6 mile walk every day, and I'm not so sure I can see the ground.
I can't even see the ground when I'm standing on it.
Hey, I got another one for you. Did you know that tarantulas are looking for love in California? Now, hikers have been warned about this thing, so you got to know that this is a serious deal. Tarantulas are out looking for love, and hikers in Southern California's Santa Monica Mountains are warned to watch out for the hairy spiders. Now, tarantula mating season has begun, and it'll last right through the end of October. That's what the National Park Service said on Thursday. Now, that means that giant arachnoids will spend the next 2 months weaving weaving webs just above ground outside the female's burrow. Los Angeles Times has reported this, so it must be something really serious. These guys, I think what it is the city and county of Los Angeles wants to find some way of requiring these tarantulas to get licensed.
Yeah, construction, right? You can't do construction out on public property like that.
No,
absolutely.
No, and above public grounds, I think there's something wrong with that.
Right, exactly. Wow, I had no idea that there was such a process involved for meeting.
See, I'm loaded with useless and doubtful information.
Yeah, I don't know what I did without you.
Well, listen, let me give you one last one, and then we can talk about anything you want. A German village is relieved as an unruly stork heads south. Get this. A German village is enjoying its peace after an unruly guest took off. Ronnie the stork, who spent the summer pecking at windows and cars as he attacked his own reflection. Ronnie's persistent pecking in Glimbeck, north of Berlin, brought him minor celebrity status after he landed in early May. Now, the locals weren't amused. They ended up closing their doors and windows and leaving cars in the garage to protect them from further scratches. Can you imagine that?
Oh my gosh.
Ronnie, they even named this thing.
Did nobody think, hey, let's find out if they're tasty? Like that would have been like, okay, guys, what's for dinner tonight? Stork. I've never had it before, and we're going to see what it tastes like now. And nobody's pecking on our windows anymore. That would have been my solution, But I guess maybe that's not allowed in Germany. Can you eat stork? I've never heard of that. I've heard of people eating a lot of birds, ostrich, all the way down to.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either. And hey, I actually am looking at that thing you talked about. The dog swims 6 miles and walks 12 more to find a family. It actually popped up here.
See, I didn't make it up. It was a true story.
It was the honest-to-God truth. Did you know that?
Yeah, what kind of dog? Does it say what kind of dog it is?
Let's see here. Belgian Malinois.
Yep, exactly. That was it.
Yep, Belgian Malinois. Here's another one for you. You're going to love this, okay? Because this is something that you would do. Man charged with shooting corn cobs at a neighbor's house. A 50-year-old Westerly man is charged with shooting corn cobs at his neighbor's home. Now, the Westerly Sun reports that Jeffrey Osella was arrested last night. Police said he answered his door shirtless and had corn kernels stuck to his chest. He's charged with disorderly conduct and firing in a compact area. He's free on bail. I cannot believe shooting corn cobs. Come on.
I'm like picturing this whole thing, and I'm going, this is like, first of all, why is this something I would do? I would shoot corn cobs from afar. I wouldn't be getting them where they'd be getting all over me.
Well, you would have at least put a shirt on so you didn't hit the corn cobs on your chest.
Right, exactly. Absolutely. Corn cobs.
Well, you know what? You just never know anymore, right?
Hey, you know what? Speaking of eating storks and food, remember last week I was telling you I made that chicken Alfredo lasagna.
Oh yeah. But I haven't received it yet.
Well, yeah, it should be there. I have to get the tracking number on that. But so I made a smaller one, but I wanted to kind of see, just get the base flavor. So all I put in it was the lasagna pasta, and then when I make lasagna, of course, most people use mozzarella. That's normal. Ricotta, Parmesan, but I like to put cottage cheese in it as well. I like cottage cheese.
Well, do you use the cottage cheese in place of the ricotta?
No, I use both.
Oh.
Yeah, I use both. So I used mozzarella, cottage cheese, ricotta, and Parmesan, and then, of course, the Alfredo sauce, and I mixed all that together. So it was basically pasta, a layer of all that mixture of stuff, and that was it. And it's like just the base. That was absolutely fantastic.
So totally cheese in the Alfredo sauce, no meat, no nothing else.
no meat, no basil, no anything.
Wow.
And it was like a really delicious, a little bit more sophisticated, grown-up version of macaroni and cheese, but lasagna style.
Oh, that sounds good.
It was fabulous. So now I'm like thinking, okay, what do I? And so I'm going to be able to put stuff in there, like should I put some veggies, or I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know if the mushrooms shouldn't be in there. So I'm trying to figure out, like, maybe next I'll just make it just like that, but then just put chicken.
Well, I
put spinach and other stuff in there. The first one.
Did I tell you the very first lasagna I ever tried to make? I mean, I was just really wanting to make a really good lasagna, making a homemade sauce and the whole thing, right? And I got everything all ready to go, and I even put the noodles and everything down, and I put all the layers in and did all this stuff, and I put it in the oven. What I found out was I had developed a new process for making impenetrable bricks. They could build a building with this thing. I forgot to cook the lasagna ahead of time. And this thing, I mean, you could actually, if somebody got hit by it, you could kill them. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
That was meant to be funny.
Oh, sorry.
Forget about it.
I'm laughing.
All right. Yeah.
On the inside, I'm laughing hysterically.
Okay. I just wanted you to know that I'm missing your lasagna, the one that you're describing.
Well, I don't know. I have to check the tracking number. I don't know why that's not there. I've had those kind of instances though too. Like I made first time I ever tried to make sourdough bread, and I love sourdough bread.
You make your own bread?
I have made my own bread, and I'm not very good. The problem.
Well, can you tell us how you made this one in less than 40 seconds?
Yeah, well, I can tell you how I made it. I just put the stuff together, threw in the oven, and it came out, and it was literally like a doorstop. It was a rock. It was so hard. We were driving down the road in Alaska, and I threw it out the window, and it just hit the ground and rolled. It didn't even break apart. It was so hard. So, yeah, the problem with baking is you have to be very specific. I'm too creative. That's why I like to cook. When it comes to baking, you got to follow the rules, and I'm just not following the rules. But I figure we're going to go on a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about my push-up challenge.
All right, sounds good to me. We'll be right back with our own Sean LaFave and the Geared for Wellness Corner after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 94 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way to 62 degrees. That's going to be really nice and pleasant. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, it's 72 degrees and it's overcast. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, it is, can you believe it? 69 degrees with some light rain. But you know where it's not raining, but it's wet, humid anyway, is in Wichita, Kansas, on the head of our own Sean LaFave. Hey, Sean, you got the microphone, my friend.
You know, when you said New York City just now, the way you said it, it reminded me of that old El Paso salsa.
Oh, that's why I did it that way.
Is that why you did it that way?
Yeah.
This stuff's made in New York City. New York City! Get a rope. Yeah. Exactly. So you nailed it. That's what you were going for. You totally nailed it.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
So I got a few days ago. I'm actually on day 5, and I'm going to wait and do my push-ups later this evening. But so 5 days ago, I was challenged on Facebook by a buddy of mine, a guy named Nick Sedano, and he is a chiropractor out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I think he was on day 20, or not, maybe day, let me see here. He was on day 19 or something like that when he challenged me. But, so what I've got to do is of course I don't have to, but I accepted the challenge, is do 22 push-ups a day for 22 days in a row. And, you know, doing 22 push-ups is not hard. But when you got to do them every single day, the first day was like, okay, boom, that was done. That was easy. The second day I went, oh man, that's a little sore, but not so bad. The third day I'm like, oh, this just sucks. You know, because your muscles don't get, like, you know, if you did it every other day, at least your muscles would get a break, you know, to recuperate. Yeah. And so, you know, I went on a little bit of a, so when I did day 3, I went on a little bit of a rant about that guy, Colin Neppercrack or whatever his name is. But, so the point of the 22, the reason why the number 22 is, on average, every day in this country, we have 22, veterans who commit suicide. That's actually not attempted, but committed suicide. And, you know, that's a huge number to think, you know, and of course, a lot of it comes down to, you know, there's, you know, it could be everything from, you know, something I actually didn't personally know the guy, but I am friends with the guy who was the first sergeant of a man who something happened in his career. He was a career military guy. His dad was a career military guy. His uncle, grandfather, I mean, the whole bit was in his blood, and he did something that basically screwed up his career. And he went home and sat in the bathtub and put a gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. You know, so that includes, of course, suicides like that too. But I'm sure the vast majority of them are you know, men and women who have been in the military. They're veterans, and you know, get to the point. And you know, veterans are just like anybody else. Sometimes, you know, they go on and live these amazing lives, and sometimes, you know, life gets the better of them, and you know, they're homeless, or you know, they're depressed, or whatever the case might be. And when a person gets to that point where they just feel there's no more hope, then you know, they that's their only solution. And, you know, logically speaking, it's unfortunate, you know, logically speaking, when there is no hope, that you know, suicide is an option, you know, but obviously we want to avoid that, and you know, get people to realize, you know, there is hope. And you know, some of the stats, I was just looking at just general statistics. because I was curious, okay, so we've got, 22 military people or 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. How does that, I really wanted to know how that stacked up against, the civilian population. And actually military people are 22% more likely to commit suicide than 21%. They're 21% higher suicide rate compared to civilian adults. So they didn't include, I guess people under the age of 18. So they do have a higher rate. There's in the United States, there are 42,000.
I'm sorry, Sean. Are we talking about military personnel, or are we talking about veterans?
We're talking about anybody, whether active duty, reservist, or someone who, you're still a veteran even while you're still in the military. So we're talking about everybody, okay. whether it's an active duty service member, anyone who's worn a uniform at some point in their life, even if they're currently in the military. Mm-hmm. So when you say veteran, you mean also people who are still serving. But I think most of these suicides are people who are no longer a member of the military. They are a veteran who has served and has since separated. But on average in the United States, every year there's over 42,000, almost 43,000 suicides in the United States, and that comes out to about 117 on average per day. So on average, 117 people kill themselves in this country, and 22 of those 117 are military veterans. And the interesting thing is, for every suicide attempt in this country, for every suicide, there are another 25 people who attempt suicide, whether they actually really wanted to kill themselves or not. Even if it's just for attention, that's still considered an attempted suicide. The military members are people who are veterans. Anyone who's ever served in the military makes up about, for men, it's about 13.5% of all men have served in the military at some point in their life, and about 1.5% of all women have served. And so like I said, the numbers that we see are higher proportionate, for military than they are for civilians. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States as well. So it's kind of those are pretty sobering numbers, to think that, we've got over 100 people committing suicide
a week,
every single day. And
I think you said 20.
A couple thousand that are attempting it.
Oh, you're talking about, now you're past the veterans, right? You're saying,
I'm past the veterans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you.
The challenge that I'm doing is specifically to bring awareness for the fact that we've got veterans who have served and they fought for people's freedoms, and for whatever reason, their life got to the point where they've given up hope and
we're not supporting and we're not supporting them.
Right.
So would you say that these people that become so despondent that they've lost so much hope, and that they actually consider or even follow through with suicide, do you think at that point they've become mentally challenged and really aren't thinking straight?
Well, they definitely aren't thinking straight, and I know that some of them, I'm sure, are, become to the point where mentally they're just not there. But really, like I said, earlier, when you break it down, if you get to the point where you have no hope and all you want is for the pain to end, whether it's mental anguish, physical anguish, we talked about suicide-assisted position.
So this includes that, then? So this includes that? Well,
it may include that, but I can't imagine. That just became legal. So I'm assuming most of the suicides, 99.99% of the suicides out there are not physician-assisted. That's a really
but it could be people that are despondent over catastrophic diseases as well, right?
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be someone who has, maybe they have an old war injury, even, or something like that. Maybe a guy got an IED and boom, and he had some damage done, and the pain just never goes away. Mm-hmm. And you just get tired of living in pain. And there are people who they just want the pain to go away. And when you lose hope of the notion that someday it can get better, that's when suicide becomes, and I hate to use it this way, but it becomes a logical option.
Sure.
Because you go, I've tried everything else. There's nothing else left to end the pain. How can I? And if you're constantly like, how can I end the pain? And the only answer that keeps coming up over and over is to die, then suicide becomes something that becomes very appealing, because
it becomes a viable option for relief.
Right. Yeah. And of course, the thing that kind of gets taken out of that equation for the person who wants to commit suicide is the pain that they're going to be inflicting on the ones they left behind. And some people may not have anybody left behind, and so it doesn't matter. And matter of fact, that's one of the problems with these antidepressant, anti-anxiety drugs. Why the suicide rate actually goes up is because what these drugs do is they make you not care. It's not that you're not depressed anymore; it's that you just don't care anymore. And so what that does is it makes you numb to the consequences of committing suicide. A lot of people, and I've had this in my clinical stuff, when I'd sit down with a person and do a consult, and they'd say, I'm just in so much pain and I'm just so tired and I can't deal with it anymore. And if it wasn't against my convictions or my religion or my morals or whatever, I would kill myself. I just don't want to live like this anymore. But because they have a family that loves them and they know that morally it's not a right thing to do, they're not going to commit suicide. But when you're on these antidepressants, they stop you from caring about things you should normally care about, and that's why you don't feel depressed. I've talked to people who are on them. I talked to a guy who used them. They prescribe antidepressants for people who want to quit smoking. Because what it does is it makes you not care that you didn't get a cigarette. And I was talking to a friend of mine one time about that. He said, man, you don't care about anything. He goes, things that used to upset me, people cutting me off in traffic, that would get me angry, I would just like, big deal. Someone, doing something rude to me, at the store or whatever, didn't care anymore. He said nothing bothered me anymore. It was just a weird way to live. And it's not a healthy way to live. You need to be able to care. And so, the thing is, when you've lost hope, then that's when people say, okay, suicide is an option for me right now. And I think that's where we need to really to look at this. I was having a conversation with a woman, and I don't even remember anything about her. It was some woman that I met randomly, and we were talking, and she asked the typical question that everybody asks, so what do you do for a living? And I was telling her about what I do as far as, treating people, not treating, but helping people overcome toxicity and to detox these things, get nutritionally balanced. And I was telling her how I work with people who have a lot of chronic conditions. Maybe have been sick for, 10, 15, 20 years. And they've been through the gamut, and they're just looking for answers. And what I said to her was, I said, one of the things that I do, because I try to find, the reason why is this happening, because people are looking for answers. They've been given drugs, they've been given all kinds of things, and they've been told, you're just going to be doing this drug for the rest of your life, and we really can't prevent. We can't stop whatever it is you're going through. I said, I'll find the reason why they're going through that and help fix that. And I said, so one of the things that I do that makes my job work as well as it does is I give people hope, because people need hope in order to heal. And this woman looked at me and she goes, oh, you lie to people.
No. Yeah, and you didn't let her get by with that, right?
Oh, no, I was floored, and I looked at her, I said, no. I said, I never lie. I said, I'm not sure how you came up with that conclusion. I said, but if I tell someone I can fix whatever's going on in their body, I said, I'm going to tell them. And I said, if I can't, I'll tell them that as well. I said, I've never lied to anybody about being able to get them healthy again. And I said, I don't know who put the notion in your head that giving someone hope means you have to lie to them. I said, but I'm really sorry that that's how you feel about it. And she was just like, yeah, whatever. She just didn't care.
Well, that's a closed mind with their own personal agenda. And the truth is that I was sitting here listening to you, and I was thinking, these people that become despondent and they feel like they've got no place to go and they only have this last alternative left. I just pray that they actually recognize or have at least tried to get some professional help before they got to that point. I mean, I'm not saying that professional help is always going to help them. I'm not saying that their decision for the ultimate relief isn't the right one. I'm just hoping that they really have exhausted all opportunities and all the avenues that might give them relief, at least mentally in their own minds, and help them trying to control these things. I can't begin to say how many times in the short time that you and I have known each other and become really good friends that you have enforced upon me the fact that, typical classical medical procedures are not the only way out. And there are these other approaches, natural approaches, that do solve the problems. And until you've actually tried everything, I don't think you should be approaching that ultimate relief decision.
Yeah, and there are people out there that unfortunately they don't know what other options are available. Mm-hmm. I was just having this conversation with a friend earlier today that in what I do, sometimes it's very exhausting. It's very tiring because you feel like Sisyphus, you're trying to explain stuff and, you're fighting against a multi-billion-dollar, advertisement machine. Take this drug, do this, this will make you happy, whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. And when really what people need is to eat more vegetables and, maybe some herbs can help you overcome that, or just, go move, do like you do, go for a walk every day, do something to get up and another drug is not going to make your life better. The drugs are good for certain things, especially to help overcome, get over the hump on some things, but to rely on them as a lifelong solution, it just becomes this perpetual snowball that is just no good. But people aren't, I talk to people all the time, literally probably every day, that go, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know you could do that. That it was, they think that they're told, you've got hypothyroidism, you're going to be taking, Synthroid or whatever, some sort of thyroid medication for the rest of your life. Or if you have diabetes, your parents had diabetes and your grandparents and your whole family, so you're going to have diabetes. And so they just, they're just fatalistic about it. And so a lot of people don't know that the options are available to them, whether it's natural or, and for a lot of people, it's, especially when it comes to the people who have gotten to the point where they want to commit suicide. I think a big part of that too is they've lost that connectedness.
Well,
if you look
let me kind of take this in a different direction. Same subject, different direction. You hear in terms of you're talking about your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your aunts, your uncles, whatever they are. They all were diabetics, and you're going to be a diabetic too. Or your dad committed suicide, and his dad committed suicide, and whatever. Or they have these young longevity lists, and they say it's hereditary. But I wonder how much of hereditary is that's the way you were raised. Maybe you were eating the wrong things that caused the diabetes. Maybe you were thinking the wrong way that caused the dementia. Excuse me, I just swallowed wrong. But could it possibly be not that hereditary is not in the genes? It's in what you've been taught how you've been taught to live?
Yeah, and you're spot on with that, and that's exactly, they proved that with the Okinawa study, in Okinawa they did all this study of these centurions and these people that lived to be over 100 years old, and they weren't obese, they didn't have all these, but they had on average the same genetic markers or predispositions towards the diseases that we get here in the West, but because they lived an active lifestyle and they ate, in moderation, and they ate healthy whole foods, they didn't eat stuff that came from a box, there was no fast food, that they lived to be over 100 years old, and they were still fairly healthy. They weren't living, decrepit lives, or lives, with diabetes and cancer and obesity. And, I actually saw, this little meme that was kind of funny. Obviously it's not funny, but you gotta, no matter what your profession is in life, you gotta be able to have humor, or you're gonna want to just, you're gonna lose your brain.
Well, didn't you tell me one time that laughter was almost the cure-all?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, then let's laugh our way out of this, because we've got to take another short commercial. When we come back, this is just really fascinating. Let's talk some more about this. We'll be right back with our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wireless Corner. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:22 p.m. Pacific time. It's down to 92 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, it's 64 degrees and it's clear. It's also tomorrow morning at 1:23 a.m. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 70 degrees and it is clear. And you know what? If you're in Wichita, it's still 81 and it's still humid and it's still partly cloudy and it's still Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, you got the microphone, buddy.
All right. So yeah, going back to this thing of, people, they lose hope, and that's when, that's without hope, we really have nothing. in the world. It's just like, there's no reason to live. And I think what this boils down to more even than just, living with the pain or just loss of hope is really loss of connectedness. A lot of people become isolated, especially when they feel like they're a burden on others, or, I'm sure, even if they're homeless or whatever the case might be, they're living this life of solitude. And when you don't have another soul to connect with in the world, or you feel like you don't have another soul to connect with, it drives that hopelessness even deeper.
Sean, it would be interesting to know, under these circumstances that you're describing, there's just total despair. How many of those people that finally succumbed to suicide, did they have a best friend? Did they have a brother or a sister or somebody that recognized they were going through something and could help? Or were they an only child? Did they have stats on that kind of stuff?
I would imagine there's got to be some stats out there, and that would be interesting to look at. I would guess that you're going to find a definitely much higher percentage than the average population of people who don't commit or attempt suicide. A loss of some sort of relationship in their life, or a lack of connectedness with someone of value. You can be connected with your coworkers, but it really doesn't bring you a lot of value in your life because they don't have that special meaning. And I've got my very dearest best friend here in Wichita is a dentist, and his name's Craig, and he is just an amazing individual. And he had a sister who was one of the most beautiful, physically beautiful, but just beauty that radiated from within. And just an absolutely wonderful person. People who remember her smile, how she just smiled.
One of those people that they refer to as being beautiful on the inside.
Yeah, beautiful inside and outside, and in every way, and just pure joy to be around. She was just an absolutely, such a wonderful, wonderful person. And she was married. She was a nurse married to a doctor. He was a little bit younger than her. They had gotten in an argument on a Saturday, and basically she wanted to have kids. She was getting a little bit older, and when I say older, she's like in her 30s. But women, when they're Sure. They want to have kids before they hit 40, most of them. And so, she really was kind of pressing the issue. I really want to have kids. He wasn't ready. He didn't want to have kids. He wanted to work on his career somewhere. And I guess this turned into a big fight. And so literally on a Sunday, he had a moving truck there, moved all of his stuff out. And
jeez.
Yeah. And I'm sure that wasn't the first argument that they ever had, but it was just such a sad, sad thing. And she went into a downward spiral. And she didn't want to leave the house. She started taking antidepressants. And, she was drinking a lot, and, she would call Craig and say, hey, can you go to the liquor store and get me some wine? And he's like, no, I'm not going to enable you. I'm not going to be the one to sit there and feed you all this alcohol. And, and he tried to be there for her as a brother. And one day she invited him over for dinner, and, they got to the house. It was him and his girlfriend and his kids, and all the doors were locked, and she wasn't answering the door, and he went in he had the code to get into the garage, and he found her hanging in the closet.
Oh my gosh! Oh gee!
Yeah, 2 months after her husband left, she hung herself, and it was just such a horrifying, sad thing to deal with, because this was a woman who lived in a beautiful home, a home nicer than any home I've ever lived in, and she, like I said, just an amazing person who everybody loved. She had a good job. She had a great career. The only thing she wanted was her husband and kids. And when that was taken away from her, she had lost hope of getting, and apparently to her, having a family was that big of a deal.
That was completing her destiny, right?
That was it for her. That was the pinnacle of her life. She loved kids, and so she took pictures of Craig's kids because she adored his kids, and put pictures of his kids up. So that was the last thing that she got to see before she killed herself was pictures of her nieces and nephews. And it's just such a sad thing to think, this one connection that she lost and the fact that it stopped her, in her mind, made it impossible probably for her to ever have kids of her own. She lost all hope, and it was just such a terrible tragedy, for something like that to happen. But I think that, and I'm sure, even I thought to myself, maybe I should have gone over and seen her. And I can only imagine, my buddy, I'm to this day, I'm sure he probably still wishes he would have spent more time with her or done something. Like the pain that he goes through, you could just see him, the agony that he went through over this. And he's not a guy who wears his emotions on his sleeves. He's pretty even keel kind of guy. But it's just terrible to think, that something that hits so close to home from someone who's such a wonderful. So when we think of suicide, a lot of people, they think of a person who's lost everything, and that maybe is like their life is just over. But for her, the only thing in her life that wasn't where she wanted to be was her family life. Everything else was fine. She had plenty of friends, but she had secluded herself from the outside world. She became a hermit and stayed at home and just drank, and she was taking antidepressants, which again, antidepressants increase the risk of suicide, and just a terrible, terrible thing. So I think that, and I was kind of, when I was doing my, I video myself for this push-up challenge that I'm doing, and I kind of went off on about a 2-minute rant about Colin Kaepernick or Kaepernick or whatever his last name is, and who didn't want to stand up for those who haven't been in the United States for the last week. He wouldn't stand up for the national anthem. He refused. He's going to sit down, and he's still protesting because he says blacks are oppressed in this country, and that's his right. And that was my thing, that's his right. He has that prerogative. If that's what he wants to do, that's but for him to say that I'm doing this because blacks are oppressed in this country, and that more things need to be done, it's almost a slap in the face to these military men. Well,
how about him cashing his multi-million-dollar paychecks? How about him realizing that while he's sitting down within a stadium of people who fought and got shot and lost blood and lost loved ones, so he could have the right to put his ass on that bench.
Yeah, no, and I'm right with you on that one. And it amazes me that I've seen people who are in support of what he's doing, and I go, I would support him if what he was standing for was something very real. But the fact is, our country is better. As a matter of fact, I feel like it's actually gotten worse since Barack Obama became president, as far as the racial divide in this country. But to say, that nothing's being done, that we're still, black people are still oppressed in this country, like, it's a far cry from what it was even the day he was born, and he's only in his 20s, let alone, what it was back in the 50s. And, that just to think that I've known a lot of military people. I was in the military for 14 years, 4 years active duty, 10 years as a reservist. And I've known a lot of military people, and every single one of them I've ever known we're fighting for freedom so we can have a better country. I've never known one that said, I'm fighting because I'm hoping that we can just oppress just a few more people. Like, I've never heard anybody say, it just doesn't happen. And so for him to say that, it's mind boggling. And apparently it has something to do with he's dating this girl, and, and on and on and on. And they think that she's really the one that's driving all this. And, for whatever it is, it's a stupid decision that he made. And he's got the right. So if you want to sit down, that's cool. That's your choice. But, there's going to probably be consequences for his career, I'm sure. And
sure.
And matter of fact, they're playing, the 49ers are playing San Diego tonight. And I don't know if you've seen in the news, but San Diego is doing a huge military ceremony. They're going to have the flag covering the entire football field, and they're going to do the big tribute to the military with lots of patriotic music, all kinds of stuff, because he's going to be there.
Well, I'm torn. I mean, it angers me. I'll be honest with you. It angers me, and it wouldn't make any difference whether he was black, red, purple, green. I wouldn't care. it angers me when people take those positions, even though I understand that that's what makes this country so wonderful, that you can do that and not get a bullet behind the ear. But it just angers me when somebody like that is talking about their oppression. He certainly is not oppressed. And I'll tell you something else. He's no more oppressed than Indians are. He's no more oppressed than certainly what Muslims are being today. He's no more oppressed than Latinos or anybody else, any other race. The truth is everybody has to stand up and dig their way out. You know what? I can keep on naming till the end of the show right now, black people who have made tremendous successes and have become tremendous examples, to society, whether they be professors in college, doctors, physicians, no matter what they are. You know what? They've shown an example to the people they represent that yes, you can do this. And education is the whole thing. You want to get out of oppression? Then get off your lazy ass and get an education. Then you can choose what you want to do.
Yeah. And I really don't know, and I don't really want to make this about him, but, I really don't know where he's coming off with thinking that there's people are oppressed of all colors, of all nationalities, all over the world. It's just like I said before about, the white man coming here and laying waste all over the Native American Indian, and that's happened on every continent, every square inch of this world. That's happened throughout history.
Well, in the early days of our country, Italians and Jewish people and Irish people, they were all oppressed. They all went through this.
Yeah, but they moved past it, and I think that for me, him to take a stance like that, it just perpetuates the problem. I don't think that it like I heard someone said, well, why doesn't he do something? And one guy said, well, because, he's bringing awareness and people are now talking about it. It's like, we need to stop talking about it and just move on and do something and make people's life better. Unfortunately, if you look at the black culture in our country, we now have far more single parent homes in the black community than we have at any other time in history. Yeah. And most of that is because of the fathers. And in fact, this guy, his own black father abandoned his mother, which means that he also abandoned him, before he was even born. And so he was put up for adoption. He was adopted by a white family. I mean, so who's oppressing people here? Your own father's a black man and he left your mother and you all alone, and so you ended up being adopted because of a black man. I don't get that. Like, your own people are oppressing your own people. So don't blame this on me, the white guy. And he showed up at practice, and I kind of want to get off of his, but I'm kind of getting on a rant here.
Well, that's okay. You got 40 seconds.
He showed up a football practice with socks on that were basically pig heads with police hats on. So it was anti-cop socks. But the point that I was making was, a lot of these military people, they just want to come home. Some of them, they're fighting for freedom. But the one thing that they want to feel more than anything else, because they're not going to get a huge paycheck, is they want to feel appreciated.
Yes.
When someone does something like what he did, it's basically going, you know what? Yeah, sure, you fought, but you didn't do enough, and I don't care, and I don't appreciate you. And
so here's the thing.
Connected and appreciated is going to be less likely to commit suicide.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You may not be able to stop oppression. You may feel oppressed, but you know what? You can gain respect, and you can gain people's admiration, and you can lift yourself out of the gutter just by getting rid of that gutter and making an effort. And it doesn't make any difference whether you're black or green or yellow or whatever color you are. You can do that because society has proven that time and time and time again. And it's those oppressed people that sit back and say, well, they made it impossible for us to make it. Well, they have not made it impossible to make it. You just got to want to make it as bad as everybody else does.
Yeah, exactly.
With that, my friend, are you going to take advantage of a 4-day weekend?
I am. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm sure I'll probably still work anyway, but because to me, I don't even like the notion of a 4-day weekend is foreign. But but I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna fix that leak in my car. I got more water in my back seat. But,
my goodness!
I am gonna enjoy myself.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll take at least a couple days off.
You know what? Forget about turning the water off. Just put a pump in there to keep the water out. In the meantime,
there we go.
Stay safe, stay happy, have a barbecue, invite your friends over, stay inside because the bugs are outside, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday, my friend.
Thanks, Robert. Had a fun time.
All right, you too. And the rest of you folks, stick around, because when we come back from this commercial message, we're going to do the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. You don't want to miss it. We got a lot of great show left for you. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, it's down to 92 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you are in Lisbon, Portugal, well, it's 70 degrees and it is clear. And if you're in Auckland, New Zealand, it's 59 degrees. And it's mostly cloudy. Well, there's no clouds over our heads here. Let's get to the Harvard business tip of the day. And the tip today is, you know what? Get the root cause of your burnout. That's the thing. Get to the root cause of your burnout. If you're feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and even depressed at work, you may be burned out. The first step to remedying the situation is to understand what's causing it. Try tracking how you spend your time for a week, either on paper or in a spreadsheet or in one of the many apps now available for tracking your time. For each block of time, write down what you're doing, whom you're with, and how you feel on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 means angry or depressed, and 10 means joyful or energized. This will give you a sense of which activities and people are diminishing your energy so that you can start limiting your exposure to them. The goal is to decrease time spent on tasks, people, and situations that drain you and to increase time on those that replenish you. As much as possible, try to jettison low-value and high-frustration activities. If you find that there are certain relationships that are especially draining, interact with those people as little as possible. That is actually, you know what? You got to spend, you spend about 20% of your time with the effective people that are in your life. You need to eliminate that other 80%, I'll tell you. Just about. Well, what about that secret daily teaching for your life? You know, it's all about a positive mental attitude. I tell you this all the time, and I'm going to continue telling you that. You decide right in the morning, when you get up in the morning and you walk in the bathroom and you look in the mirror, you decide how the day's going to go. You can look in the mirror and say, wow, it's going to be a fantastic day. It's going to be profitable. It's going to be progressive. I am going to be so happy and get so much done today. You know what? You decide if you're going to be happy or sad, a failure or a success, whether you're going to be rich or poor, or even if you're going to be, the people around you are going to be happy. You decide all those things. You make it happen. So the teaching for today is action is a word that can imply work to some people, but inspired action will not feel like work at all. The difference between inspired action and action is this. Inspired action is when you are acting to receive. If you are in action to try and make it happen, you have slipped backwards. Inspired action is effortless, and it feels wonderful because you are on the frequency of receiving. And that, my friends, is a success. And that's what you would be if you just take action and enjoy every part of it. Well, you know what today is? Sure you do. It's Thursday. It's September the 1st, and it is somebody's birthday. Oh, yeah, and we've got, we've got some great birthdays for today, so, hang on to your hat. You're going to enjoy these. Right off the top, we've got a young lady that was born in 1939, an actress and comedian who's won multiple awards. She got her acting start on the show Laugh-In. Happy birthday, Lily Tomlin. One ding-a-ling, two ring-a-ding. Yeah. Here's a guy born in 1946. He's a singer who, with his brothers, formed the Bee Gees, one of the most successful pop groups of all time. Happy birthday, Barry Gibb. And then finally, fellow born in 1966, is retired basketball player, NBA, and who, in his prime, was one of the league's best point guards. Happy birthday, Tim Hardaway. Yeah. Well, you know what? You've been guessing what's going on in history on this date, right? Well, I can tell you what is going on in history, and I'm going to tell you right now. September the 1st, 1752, the Liberty Bell arrives in Philadelphia. Yeah. And in 1897, the Boston subway opens, becoming the very first underground rapid transit system in North America. Yeah. Came first there. In 1982, the United States Air Force Space Command is founded. Yes. And one last one here. 1985. Yes, September 1st, 1985, a joint American-French expedition locates the wreck of the RMS Titanic. Yeah. Well, we've got a great quote for you today. The quote comes from a lovely, lovely lady, Michelle Pfeiffer. And she says, like all parents, my husband and I just do the best we can and hold our breath and hope we've set aside enough money to pay for our kids' therapy. Yeah, I guess that's the way it would be. Well, it is time for our interesting but useless facts, and we've got some terrific ones for you here today. So let's get right to them. Did you know Elwood Edwards did the voice for the AOL sound files? You've Got Mail. He is heard about 27 million times a day. The recordings were done before Quantum changed its name to AOL, and the program was known as Q-Link. Yeah. And that's kind of interesting. Think about it. 27 million times a day. Holy cow. How about this? The movie Clue has 3 different endings. Each ending was randomly chosen for different theaters. All 3 endings are present in the home video. So you get to watch that video and watch the ending 3 different ways. How about this? You know what? Men who kiss their wives in the morning live 5 years longer than those who don't. You could read a lot into that if you think about it. How about this? There's an average of 178 sesame seeds on a Big Mac bun. Well, you want to count them and figure it out? Or you want to eat it? Yeah. How about this? If at the birth of Christ, someone began to spend $1 every second and continued spending up to the present time, that person would have spent less than $70 billion. Now that is really, really interesting. Think about that. Holy cow. Well, how about this? It has a black and white coat that features large black patches around its eyes. Wonder what that is. Hippos are threatened by habitat loss and poachers who hunt them for their meat and teeth. And then finally, a woman's sense of smell is stronger than a man's. You know what? I'm going to give you one more. Charlie Chaplin once entered a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest, and he lost. He didn't even make it to the finals. Laugh that one off. Yeah. Well, don't go away, because after this break, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. And today's story, well, it's General John Henry, and I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Folks, don't go away. We've got a little bit of really great show left for you right after this.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Dental Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:54 p.m. Pacific time. It's down to 92 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us on our syndicated global network and you're in London, England, it's 63 degrees and clear. In Vienna, Austria, 68 degrees and clear. But right now, it's time for our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. And Paul's story today is Gentle John Henry. Well, Gentle John Henry was born in Griffin, Georgia, the son of a Confederate Army major. As a boy, John was taught proper bearing and courtly manners befitting his prestigious family, but one thing disturbed his daddy. John could not hold his own in a fight. Fully grown in his late teens, John stood 5'10", was painfully thin, and was tortured by his fear of physical violence. One day, the violence was unavoidable. He was roughed up by a ruffian over the right to use a swimming hole. John's father promptly sent him to Baltimore to advance the boy's education in the less threatening environment. He was enrolled in the Baltimore Dental College. John was entirely agreeable. With the hometown bullies at a safe distance, he studied diligently for 2 years and completed the course in dentistry. Then he moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where he would begin his postgraduate practice. For a while, John worked alongside one of the most prominent dentists in that city, frequently taking over his elder college practice. Well, eventually, homesickness set in, and John, now 22, returned to Griffin to establish himself there. It was a comfortable little office at the southwestern corner of Solomon and State. And though John's life appeared to be complete, there was another personal concern, which had been haunting him, and that was tuberculosis. The already gentle young man became even more subdued as the worry over his health increased. One day, a quaking wan John Henry sat in the office of his general practitioner and was told he was going to die. John asked how long he had to live. The physician's gaze fell. He was quiet for a moment. Perhaps a drier climate might add a year or two, and that was all he said. So, it seemed that gentle John Henry, the boy who couldn't hold his own in a fight, the retiring young man who had fled violence to become a dentist, had returned home to a battle that he could not win. But just this once in his brief, unassuming, mild-mannered life, John Henry wanted to fight back. How could he die if he had not yet lived? Next day, John packed his bags and his dental instruments. If even a few precious hours could be gained in a drier climate, then that's where John would go. First stop, Dallas. On the one-way trip to immortality. It was a Dallas cowpoke dental patient who first met the new John Henry. The cowboy complained about his treatment. The ensuing argument escalated. The dentist pulled out a .45 and blew the cowboy clean away. The frustration of a waning, yet-to-be-experienced life carved for the notorious itinerant Wild West gambler 30 notches on his gun. John Henry would one day die of the respiratory disease that plagued him. It was not a year or two, but 14 years later, And in those 14 years, John bet and blazed and blasted his way into the pages of Western history. John Henry was once described as the nerviest, speediest, deadliest man with a six-gun that I ever saw. This unequivocal praise came from Marshal Wyatt Earp. Perhaps by now you've guessed that John Henry, the boy who couldn't hold his own in a fight, the mild-mannered dentist who found life only after facing death, the much-feared drinking, gambling, gun-slinging friend of Wyatt Earp, was John Henry, Doc Holliday. And now you know the rest of the story. Wow. Isn't that something? Well, don't forget, folks, to get our app. It's absolutely free. Go to your app store, whether that be Android or Windows or an iPhone. Go to the app store and just search Robert Cardoza Live. The app will be right there. It'll be absolutely free. Download it. You can listen to us live if we're broadcasting live like we are now, or you can listen to any of our shows. They're all right there. They're all archived for you to listen to at your own leisure. You know, tell your friends about our show. Tell your friends about the app. They'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. And I'll tell you, I'll be glad you did too.
Our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.